in community together. As she said during a stop on that tour, quote, "You're part of a group, a family, so count on that and feel it in your heart and soul. Believe in one another and fight together." Miss Majors is survived by her long-term partner, Beck Witt, as well as 3 sons, Isaiah, Christopher, and Jonathan. Her many daughters, including Janetta Johnson, sisters Tracy O'Brien and Billy Cooper, and Tom Jeffress, and countless members of the community that were shaped by her mentorship and love. Thank you very much, Jake, for that story. I am basically reading it out loud because it's excellent reporting that you have provided for us. And I'm noting here that the story is developing, so please stay tuned to windycitytimes.com for more updates on this story as we learn them. Thanks, everyone, for listening today. Up next on WCPT 820 is Choose Views with Richard Chu. On AM 950 Radio, it is the Matt McNeil Show. Stay tuned after that for Native Roots Radio. And then at 10 p.m. Central, step into the unknown on Ghost Box Radio with Greg Bakken. And until this time tomorrow, keep it queer, America.
Are you looking for more in this world? Are you ready for something bigger? Then we are looking for you. The big-hearted, the bold, the messy and the gutsy. The teachers, the growers, the builders. The skilled, the sharers, the change makers. We need you. We are the Peace Corps. In more than 60 countries, we go all in and all out. We are volunteers, partners, communities, working together, living together, bringing our experience, passion, and joy to building a better world together. From tackling climate change in Mexico to keeping kids healthy in Kenya, from sustainable farming in the Philippines to education in Kosovo. We learn more, give more, share freely, and serve boldly. Are you ready to tackle the tough stuff? To go the distance to make a difference? Then we have a place where you belong. Join us at peacecorps.gov.
When facts matter, you turn to WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk.
A fair balance where the facts come out.
Real news, real talk.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. Los Angeles County officials voted yesterday to declare a state of emergency that'll give them the power to provide assistance for residents they say have suffered financially from ongoing federal immigration raids. At a cabinet meeting with Argentine President Javier Milei, President Trump says the programs he's cut during the government shutdown will not be brought back.
I haven't said it probably as bluntly as I just said it, but so we are closing up Democrat programs that we think that we disagree with, and they're never going to open again.
The shutdown is entering its 15th day. The Israeli military says one of the bodies handed over by Hamas yesterday is not a hostage who was held in Gaza. AP correspondent Charles de Ledesma has more.
4 bodies were handed over by Hamas on Tuesday to ease pressure on the fragile ceasefire, following the first 4 on Monday, when also the last 20 living hostages were released. The military now says, following the completion of examinations at the National Institute of Forensic Medicine, the 4th body handed over to Israel by Hamas does not match any of the hostages. Meanwhile, relatives of some of the newly released Israeli hostages have been describing their joy of being reunited with their loved ones after 2 years of captivity in Gaza. Speaking at the Sheba Medical Center in Tel Aviv, where the freed hostages are receiving medical treatment, the brother of Ziv and Gali Berman, Liran Berman, expresses his relief.
For 738 days, our lives were trapped between hope and fear. Yesterday, that chapter ended. Seeing Gali and Ziv again, holding them after so long, was like feeling the world start to move again.
I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Dallin H. Oaks has been named the new president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The former Utah Supreme Court justice will lead the church's more than 17 million members worldwide. This is AP News. Iconic R&B artist D'Angelo has died. The AP's Jennifer King has more.
R&B singer D'Angelo, whose real name was Michael Eugene Archer, was known for his smooth, sexy voice and his synthesis of hip-hop, soul, and gospel that helped spearhead the neo-soul movement of the 1990s. The multi-Grammy-winning artist co-produced the single You Will Know by Black Men United before his 1995 debut studio album Brown Sugar went platinum. He gained mainstream attention in 2000 with his shirtless music video for Untitled How Does It Feel? That song and his sophomore album Voodoo won him Grammys in 2001. He collaborated with stars like Lauryn Hill and The Roots, but had trouble in the mid-2000s, including drug and DUI charges and a bad car accident. In a statement, the family confirmed the singer's death at age 51 after a battle with cancer, saying they are eternally grateful for the legacy of extraordinarily moving music he leaves behind. I'm Jennifer King.
And I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Few spotty rain showers early today, otherwise cloudy skies with temperatures holding steady. Winds out of the northeast around 5 to 15 miles per hour. Then for tonight, partly cloudy skies develop, a low near 54. By Thursday, sunshine, high of 70 degrees. Friday, slight chance for rain, cloudy, high of 72. Saturday, chance for rain, high of 72. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 59.
Driving, it's just better in a Porsche. Find yours at the Porsche Exchange in Highland Park. Browse and test drive our extensive selection, like the 2025 Porsche Cayenne. And right now, lease the 2025 Macan for only $949 a month for 39 months. Discover performance like no other at the Porsche Exchange in Highland Park or PorscheExchange.com. $7,469 due at signing. Excludes tax, title, license, and dock fee. No security deposit required. Expires 10/31/25.
You're listening to WCPT 820, because facts matter.
Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew.
Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that focuses on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
Good Wednesday morning, progressives. Chins up and shoulders back. Yes, it is time to fight. Welcome to the October 15th, 2025 edition of Choose Views. 773-763-9278 is our Credo mobile phone and text line. You can find my show on Facebook Live, TuneIn Radio, iHeart, heartlandsignal.com, YouTube, and all that good stuff. You can email me, of course, at richard@WCPT820.com. You can follow me on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Blue Sky, X, Threads, Substack. Yeah, hang out there. You guys know that by now. And most definitely catch all of our shows by subscribing to our WCPT podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. There you can get Choose Views featured interviews, the short versions and the long versions. Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive. The great Patty Vasquez, Driving You Home. And, of course, The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath, as well as our other wonderful shows, Out Chicago, and all the interviews that we do, everything that we have on the show. Make sure you make your way over to the WCPT website. And, of course, heartlandsignal.com is where you can also hang out and find great stuff. And what do we have for you from Heartland today? A couple of quick ones. Governor Pritzker once again says ICE and DHS are repeatedly lying about their arrests around Chicago. And they are lying in a way that's become harmful. So it's a good clip there that you'll want to check out. And him also talking about this guy, Greg Bovino, and some of the things that happened on social media. Norma Hernandez, a Democrat from Illinois State Representative, I should say, Melrose Park area. So make your way over to Heartland Signal so you can grab the post and or check out the post and the articles and the clips that we have there for your liking. little bit of a shout out. Well, first before I do that, let me let you know about today's guest. It's Wednesday, a little bit of an adjustment because our man Kurt Mullett is such a wonderful dude. But in the 6:30 hour, we will have one of the experts in the Ukraine, and she will be talking with us. Tamar Jacoby will be with us at 6:30, and then I'm sorry, apologize for that. Is that right? No, Kurt will be with us at 6:30. Gosh, I got my timing off. Yeah, Kurt's with us at 6:30. Okay, thanks, Henry. Kurt Mullett will be with us in the 6:30 hour, and then Tamar Jacoby will be with us in the 7 o'clock hour. God, I'm looking right at it, too. That's the crazy thing. I'm looking right at it. But, sometimes your brain, we know how our brains work. There's no need to try to head fake on that. We know how our brains work. So Kurt will be with us in the 6:30 hour, and Tamar Jacoby will be with us in the 7 o'clock hour. And then we will be trying to take some of your calls in that last little bit, and talking about a couple of current events that are here in Chicago that are taking place, and I want to bring you guys up to speed on, as well as like I said, try to grab some of your calls this morning. So, crazy busy. Forgot about that. Yeah, we changed things up a little bit, and I did it. I'm the one that did it. Oh, thank you guys for giving me a little bit of grace on that, and also our man Kurt, who will be with us at 6:30. Okay, so I want to give a shout out to someone that has been not only a listener to this show, but also to WCPT. And I don't like to give out full names, but Janice in Crest Hill, thank you for the wonderful card that you sent me. I really appreciate it. Humbles me that someone would send me something in the first place, but it's so nice when someone sends something to the station, and I appreciate the words of wisdom and encouragement that you sent me, and it goes a long way, and I take it to heart, and I will make sure that I use those great words and those observations to work to do a better job in every single show. I'm committed to that. So thank you for the card. It's greatly appreciated. But yeah, we got a little bit of change up this morning. Kurt's going to be with us at 6:30, and tomorrow will be with us at 7 o'clock. So just got to get that in order. And I turned my phone's volume off because it was beeping in the background, Henry. It's like, what the heck is that? All right, guys, check this out, progressives.
My own view is that most CEOs in America today are very scared to speak out publicly about anything. They are so worried that they are going to be potentially attacked by the administration or regulated. They're going to have a merger in front of some agency that's not going to be allowed to go through. They are so nervous about criticizing anything that's going on with this administration.
All right, so Andrew Ross Sorkin, it was an interview that he did with 60 Minutes. And the reason I wanted to kind of touch on that as we jump out this morning is on Monday, if you guys recall, Sarah Jones from Politicus USA and the Daily Politicus, we talked about where corporations are and what corporate leaders are not doing or are doing, depending on how you look at it. And this is, I've said this before, and I'm probably going to have to say it again. And that is, I get that they are playing, maybe they're playing it safe, to protect something that they think needs to be protected. But listen, I believe, and I guess, if I were sitting in their chair, I might look at it from their perspective. But as someone that's looking at it, someone like what Sarah said and what Andrew said and what many others have been saying, corporations have more power, I believe, unless they're being complicit with the administration. They have more power, just like we as individuals have more power than we give ourselves credit for. Now, and here's a good example. When we talk about the companies that provide money to this current administration or provided money to his inauguration event and all the other things, and I'm going to talk a little bit about one of those corporations later in the show, and you may or may not be surprised with what I did a little bit of research and found. But in any event, I'm just looking at it and saying, why don't you guys man up or woman up? So don't upset anybody from a gender perspective. But, adult up. How about that one, Henry? Yeah. Adult up. Y'all got a lot of power. I mean, if you guys think I'm crazy in this space, please let me know, because I don't want to be rolling down the street, Richard's crazy. But let's just think about this. If the top, and I've said versions of this before, if the top 100 companies in America, based on, the Forbes list and all the other things that we use as measuring sticks, or the top 500, Fortune 500, Fortune 100, Fortune 1000, sat back and said, our consumers, our customers are being hurt by what this administration's doing when it comes to tariffs. If those organizations, again, unless they're being complicit, were to sit back and say, our consumers are being hurt by this administration, they're not being helped. They're spending less. And if we're making more money, it's not because they're spending more in volume. It's because of the increase in prices. And at some point, that fuel runs out, because people will go, you know what? No, I'm not going to do it. And so for me, particularly if they're public corporations, step up, y'all. Come together. Have a meeting with 100 of y'all say we're heading to Washington. Just like, listen, when during the economic crisis in 2008, many companies went to Washington, D.C. It ain't the first time. And many law firms. Let's take the top 100 law firms in the country, Henry. And y'all just say, hey, listen, we're rolling into Washington. Adult up, y'all. Unisex up. Someone sent me that word. Come on. Because that's where the real power lies. That's why, the protests that are taking place with No King's Rally is the power of citizens of the United States saying, nah, we're done. And we have to keep doing that. We may have a voice on with us on Friday to chat a little bit about that. I'm trying to squeeze something in that I'm working on. But imagine if the Fortune 500, top 10 employees of the Fortune 500 companies in America say, yeah, let's head to Washington because this is getting crazy. And let the president and the administration know this is way, way, way out of hand and we need to get this resolved. Now, listen, I know a lot of times, guys, I speak from an aspirational standpoint, but I got to believe that some of you sometimes think some of the same things in this space. Like when I said this about colleges and universities, that we would hope that they would say, hey, wait a minute, we got a lot of power here. And businesses particularly, maybe different, not certainly different from what the universities may have to deal with. I get that. But corporations, again, unless they're being complicit, unless those leaders are being complicit, consciously complicit, then I think it's well beyond time for them to say no. And I think that after the holidays, when they see that their numbers are suffering, that there's going to be, I think that there should be, maybe there won't be, but I think that there should be an even larger calling. And, guys, maybe it starts with us. Maybe it starts with me saying this and us building this momentum. I'm not certain, but I do know that if I were an elected official, I would be talking to corporations saying, listen, you guys have got to be impacted by this. What are you all going to do? Your leaders as well. So I'm going to talk about this some more because I believe it. I've said it before. When I saw Andrew's clip on 60 Minutes, I thought that we would kind of open a little bit with that today. Let's take a quick break, Henry. The number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
This is WCPT telling you how you can shop blue. The NFL season is back, and I wanted to be here are the teams that support the Democratic Party, but yikes. As in 2024, NFL donations to Republicans skyrocketed 7 times more from the 2020 election. And the biggest Republican donor was the Walton family. Not only do they own Walmart, they own the Denver Broncos. 83% of NFL's donations went to Republicans. So let's talk about that 17% that didn't. The Atlanta Falcons. Arthur Blank, he was the largest NFL donor to the Democratic Party, donating $1.3 million to Kamala Harris's 2024 campaign. And Arthur J. Rooney, the owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers, also donated to Democrat politicians in 2024. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers donated $3.2 million to Democrats in 2024. And the Minnesota Vikings donated $32,000 to Democrats in 2024. Is MAGA still mad about the male cheerleaders now?
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
Welcome back to Chew's Views with Richard Chew.
Yeah, we're back, guys. Thanks for being with us this morning. Hope you're up and getting going. And if you are in the Chicago area, it's a little drizzly this morning. So if you're commuting by car, just give yourself a few extra minutes. Don't hit those curves too tight. Slow down a little bit. And if you're taking public transportation and you're stepping off of a bus or off of a train or whatever the case may be, or if you're in an Uber and you're getting out of the car, just take a split second, be a little bit safer. It's a little sprinkly out there, and I don't want anybody slipping and falling and throwing out your back and all that other crazy stuff. So just an FYI. And if you're anywhere else in the country and your weather's changed because we're in that time of the year when that can happen, please be mindful of that and give yourself a few extra minutes. And here's the thing, Henry, for the next 5 months, there'll be at least a couple shows a week where I'll probably say this because our weather's changing. So we all need to take note of that. And yes, I'll be Uncle Richard Weatherman for us because I want to see everybody stay safe. So today, live, local, and progressive, Joan Esposito will be here from 2 until 3. Then things turn over to Tom Hartman and me. We'll be broadcasting a live labor panel from Max and Benny's restaurant up in Northbrook. Live, local, on progressive, weekdays 2 to 5. Of course, normally Joan, but today 2 to 3 will be Joan, and from 3 to 5 will be me and Tom. Driving it home with Patty tonight, we'll be joined by Alderperson Jesse Fuentes. Driving it home with Patty Vasquez, that's 5 to 7, weekdays Central Time here on WCPT, Heartland Signal website, TuneIn, YouTube, and Facebook. So there you go. Text mobile, that's a Credo mobile phone, and text line is 773-763-9278. And listeners now get 25% off for 2 years at Credo Mobile with the code WCPT25. Credo Mobile, it's a progressive phone company that is better for all people and, of course, the planet. Visit credomobile.com. Okay, as we keep it moving along, tomorrow we'll have Rick Smith on the show, so I'm looking forward to chatting with him. As you guys know, Rick's show airs weekdays 7 to 8 on WCPT, so yeah, we'll have Rick on the show. All right, let's keep it moving. A little Choose Views news this morning. A lot of things happening, so let me kind of bring these to you guys as we go along. On this October 15th, 2025, shutdown is injuring crucial services. What do we mean by that? Among the offices most affected by the government shutdown are the Treasury Department's Community Development Financial Institutions Fund, which raises an estimated $8 in investments from the private sector, $8 from the private sector for every dollar it gets. That's $8 for every dollar it gets. All 83 employees there were reportedly notified that their jobs will be eliminated in December. The cuts at the EPA, meanwhile, affected programs that work with businesses to reduce pollution in manufacturing, and at the Department of Education, reductions reportedly focusing on offices that support special ed. This administration is chaotic, y'all. The IMF says tariffs are to weigh on growth. What do we mean there? The worst is yet to come, according to some experts, when we're looking at tariffs, particularly from what we found from the International Monetary Fund, showing the global economic growth slowing to 3.1% next year from 3.2% this year, as protectionist U.S. trade policies, also known as Donald Trump's dumb A policies, take hold. Delays in the implementation are ending, and remaining uncertainty, plus a government shutdown that we're currently in, is promising to impede growth. Expansion of the world's biggest economy alone is expected to drop 2% this year from 2.8% from 2024. The GM is taking a hit when it comes to their EVs. $1.6 billion is the number on electronics, their electronic vehicle division, as the U.S. auto manufacturer grapples with shrinking demand and the end of government subsidies. GM made the disclosures in a regulatory filing yesterday. Charges include $1.2 billion in reduced EV capacity, with the rest owing to contract cancellation fees and commercial settlements, according to Bloomberg. So GM is starting to report how this is impacting them. ChatGPT is making some good partnership with Walmart. Walmart believes AI is about to reinvent the online shopping experience, which is why they will soon allow customers to make purchases through ChatGPT. The nation's largest retailer on Tuesday announced a partnership with OpenAI to offer Walmart's products via the chatbot's Insta Checkout feature. Now, I know a lot of you guys are not big Walmart fans, but if you do, or you know, or have someone in your family that does, then just make them aware that that's a part of what their shopping experience, particularly online, may become. And this one really caught my eye. David Ellison, Paramount, mulls another takeover deal, and that happens to be with Walt Disney. Paramount approached, not Walt Disney, Warner Brothers Discovery last month about a potential majority cash offer heavily backed by Ellison and his father, billionaire Larry Ellison, according to Wall Street Journal. The reports citing anonymous sources say that Warner, which is planning to split into two companies, hasn't proven to be receptive to this offer, but some sources say that the Ellisons may try again. Now, why is this an issue? I talked about this with Sarah on Monday. The consolidation of media, the consolidation of various companies, which shortens our voice, particularly in the media space. But this is where I go back to, my whole concern about so many of these media companies, because a lot of them are struggling because of the fact that, particularly many of the traditional deliveries are struggling because so many people are saying no to what their programming is, but they're also looking to alternative media for their information. But it's still a concern of mine when media companies consolidate, because particularly when there are people who are in bed with Donald Trump, and that's got to feel nasty. So, anyhow, there you go, guys. A couple of Choose Views news items this morning, being October 15th, 2025. So, as I was looking at a couple of things in terms of where we are, I go back to earlier in the week and our guests when we were talking about protesting and why protesting has become such a, maybe I'll put it this way. It may have become a little bit of a threat to some people. It may become an issue of uncertainty or lack of safety or concerns about one's safety. But I also think that in stating that, we still have to be mindful of, if we don't protest, whether it be out on the street protesting, or it might be from your computer or from other ways that you will protest to stay safe or to do it in a way that works for you, it has to be done. Because they, meaning this administration, this regime, wants to silence voices. And if you buy into that, meaning buying into that you can't protest or that you shouldn't protest or you shouldn't speak out, it's only going to get worse. This weekend coming is going to be a big deal with the No Kings rallies throughout the country. And if you can participate, then you should. For all the protest reasons that protest provide, which is that collective energy and people letting officials know that they're not going to just sit back and take it. So the actual going to the event, being there, making the noise, having our voices be heard is ultimately what the protest is, that gathering is going to do. We know that we've got a very hard-headed, hard-line administration, and you heard yesterday when we had Eric Hogan on talking about the way in which this administration is going forward with Russell Vought and his managing of the budget, et cetera, et cetera. But what I think is the other part of, and the important and a critically important part of protesting, is it keeps you plugged in. I know that there are lots of people. I get tons and tons of messages from folks that say that they're worried, they're concerned, and in some cases intimidated and don't know what to do. And so protesting, speaking up, sending the emails, sending the letters, making the calls, those are all forms of maybe not protest necessarily, but they are forms and ways of your voice being heard. And ultimately, the goal, the objective, the prayer, the hope is that the pushback lets this current administration know that we're here and that we're going to keep fighting. But I also have to say that one of the important things of protesting and speaking up and letting your voice be heard, whether it be calling here to share something that you experienced or talking about it, or connecting with people online, however, whatever the way it happens, it's also good for your soul. It's good for you. It's good for you to get it out. It's good for you to say those words. It's good for you to yell back and do it in a way that somebody has to take note. So if it's a physical protest, that's clear. But if you're doing something online, doing something by phone, or whatever other, venue you decide to take, then do it. I want to encourage everybody to stay involved. If you're not involved yet, find a way to get involved. Find a thing. If you're not certain what to do, give me a call here, send me an email at richard@WCPT820.com, and I will give you access to people that have invited me to different events and asked me to participate, and some I have and some I have not, but I'll provide you with directions to go and things to do. But I want everybody, anywhere you are listening, anywhere in the country, to recognize the importance of your voice, and do not let them dampen your spirit by trying to dampen your voice. So let's take a quick break, guys. The number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
Whoa. More fiber?
What?
Down here, buddy. It's me, your spoon. Constipation with belly pain still coming back?
Yeah.
Talk to your doctor. It could be irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, but Linzess could help you get ahead of it.
Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. A few spotty rain showers early today, otherwise cloudy skies with temperatures holding steady. Winds out of the northeast around 5 to 15 miles per hour. Then for tonight, partly cloudy skies develop, a low near 54. By Thursday, sunshine, high of 70 degrees. Friday, slight chance for rain, cloudy, high of 72. Saturday, chance for rain, high of 72. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 57.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
This is Choose Views with Richard Chu.
Yes, this is Choose Views with Richard Chu. And it's Wednesday. It's a little bit earlier than normal, but our good friend Kurt Mullett is going to hang out with us for a little bit, and I'm excited because I haven't talked to him in a couple of weeks. Kurt, good morning and welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning, Richard. How you doing?
Doing
you sound
great.
good.
Doing thanks, man. Thank you. That's what happens when you rest your voice a little bit. You know, it's it's good to be back, but I miss being here. And you and Michelle knocked it out of the park last week, man. Isn't she great?
I had a great conversation with Michelle. She's wonderful.
Yeah.
I hope to meet her someday. Give her a big hug. So.
I thought you guys. It's funny. I thought you guys met at the WCPT anniversary, but I guess you didn't. I thought.
No.
Yeah. She's
I
fantastic.
didn't get to meet her. So.
Yeah. Well, you guys were great, and she's phenomenal. So I was just so grateful that she was here and being sat in for the week and let me get a little bit of rest to the voice and all the other things so that we could come back fighting hard for the rest of the year.
Which is needed, yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah, she kind of worried me because right before I came on, she said she was going to put me on the spot, and I was like, okay, what's she going to do? What has Richard told her to do, or what has she come up with that she's going to put me on the spot? But it was cool. It was cool. So,
well, listen, man, I don't have to give Michelle anything to put people on the spot. Michelle is nice as pie. But she can definitely get after you, and I don't mean that in anything but the most positive of ways. She's got a lot of steel in her spine. So, but thank you.
She can stir that stuff up from the bottom of the pot. Let's just say that.
That's what
she'll get all that good stuff at the bottom there.
See, a lot of people listen, man. This is where you and I have so much in common. A lot of people don't know. When you stir the pot, you have to stir it from the bottom because that's where all the good stuff is.
From the bottom up. Exactly, yeah.
You can't be stirring from the top.
Get all that good stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, too funny. Hey, that's the epitome of a country boy and a city boy knowing what's really going on. And I mean that in the most affectionate of ways, man.
You know I know that, so you got that right now.
The worst thing in the world, I've told this to people for years, don't assume a country boy doesn't know what's going on in the city, and don't assume a city boy doesn't know what's going on in the country, because when the two of them come together.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
They'll tell you how much they know. So,
yeah. Oh, goodness. So my allergies are just messing with me this morning. I can always, it's raining. It rained a little bit. It drizzled here, and I'm like, oh, goodness. But how are you doing, man? What's been going on with you? There's so much I want to throw at you. You've got this big event taking place this afternoon. You're doing this thing. Talk about this thing that you're doing with Blythe Potter. I want folks to hear about this all over.
Yeah, I'm just doing it live on Instagram with Blythe. Blythe is she's a Democratic candidate for Secretary of State here in Indiana. And I finally got the chance. I've known her for a while, just like you and I knew each other from social media and from talking on the phone and stuff. But I finally got to meet her in Tipton on Sunday and give her a hug and just, face to face. And so we're going to do it live today, and we're going to talk about the situation that's going on with the race for Secretary of State and recent other individuals who have joined the race. And, the main goal is to make sure that we defeat Diego Morales, which a lot of people don't know about, which is fine. Get him out of our hair, because he's just it's just amazing when you look at the people that are running the state of Indiana, and you take Mike Braun and you go through what he's done and everything, and you go, wow, what a POS. And then you go to Micah Beckwith and you go, wow, this guy's worse. And then you go to Todd Rokita, our AG, and you go, my God, what's wrong with it? And then you go to, it's like it's never ending with the people that we have in place in our state and how just, horrible they are. Yeah. And my vocabulary would be different if we were on the phone, but these guys...
Acronyms work well. So POS, I think we all know what that means, and that's a good one to use.
Yeah. Diego, just so people know a little bit about Diego Morales, he is the only Secretary of State that turned over the voter registration information to the felon. Months ago, the felon asked all the states to turn over information about, voters, because he wants to know who voted Democrat, who voted Republican. That's what he wants to know. And Diego Morales so far is the only one that turned him over. I mean, even Arkansas said no, like Blythe said this weekend, which, when Arkansas says no to the felon, but, Indiana says yes, So
what cracks me up about Morales, Diego Morales, is, and I'm going to say something a lot of people it'll probably pinch him a little bit when I say it this way, but he was born in Guatemala. Is it Guatemala? Yeah, he was born in Guatemala. And so by, all measure, he immigrated, or his mother, I think I have this right. His mother immigrated to the United States. Was he born in the United States, or was he born in Guatemala? I think he was born in Guatemala, and then they immigrated together. But this guy's been accused of sexual harassment and, other stuff that you know better than most when it comes to what's happening there in Indiana. But the part that's really, really crazy to me is that he's perpetrating this kind of hate and disenfranchisement to people who look like him. And it's one of those things that I sit back and I look at it and I think, I hate it when someone essentially pulls a ladder up, particularly when they're of a community that other people are not pulling up the ladders, they're just destroying them. And this dude is that person. He is, he's yanking up the ladder and turning his power on people that look like him in the great state of Indiana. And it's shameful and disgusting that he is doing what he's doing. And then at the same time, the same dude has been twice accused of sexual assault and sexual harassment. So I feel your pain, but I have no love for this dude whatsoever. He needs to go. So, and quickly, very, 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 very quickly. What time is your event with Blythe?
It's at 2:15. 2:15. Blythe is a ex-military or military. She is a mother and she's a small business owner, and she's extremely busy because she's trying to make her rounds around the state and touch base with and lock arms with as many people as she can in Indiana. And the way she's going about it is she's doing it in small communities and small events. The one I went to in Tipton Sunday, there were maybe 40 to 50 people there, but Blythe took the time to drive. It was her second event on Sunday that she made it to, and that's one of the things about Blythe that I admire, that she's committed to this, and her passion is deep, and she wants to do the right thing. And it's about time that Indiana wakes up and understands that we need completely a different change in our state. Not only with the people that are representing this. There's a lot of people in Indiana that think it's just better if we just get a Democrat in there. And although that be true, okay, I'm not going to argue against that or fight against that, but it also makes a difference on what Democrat we put into place.
Right.
And when you have two choices, which we now have on the Democratic side, because Bo Bai has thrown his hat into the ring, which has created a lot of controversy in our party already because of the support that
his name's going to give him.
Well, he is automatically, from mainstream media, been recognized and talked about more in his short time of his candidacy than Blythe has the whole entire time she's been talking about it. And that is wrong on every level. If you're going to talk about one candidate, you need to give, recognition to another one too. And Blythe has not been given that same, recognition, and it's wrong.
Yeah.
It's just wrong. So Blythe is grassroots. She's not taking any corporate money. She's trying to do this from and for the people. So that's who I'm going to support. I'm not into nepotism. I'm not into a dude that hasn't really lived here in Indiana and is going by name only. And if he really wanted to make a difference with his name, why didn't he run for a different position in our state? Why did he have to come in and pick one where we already had a strong candidate in place? Why could he not pick one of the other, Why didn't he run for governor? If he's so sure about his name.
Yeah. I know.
Why? So it's really upsetting because we've already had a lot of our Democratic state leaders jump on his bandwagon. And but I'm not. I'm on Blythe's bandwagon, and I'm going to push it if the wheels fall off. I mean, that's just, once I get behind somebody, that's who I am. But
one of the things that I'd like to do and offer, and I want to do it today, is you invite her on and we have her on the show because, I want to do my part in helping in that space. I obviously, for you guys who are listening, I knew Kurt was doing this, and I did check out Blythe. So I can make my own determination. But, young energy, grassroots, business owner, military, all those, she's checking a number of boxes that I think are important to citizens of the state of Indiana, but frankly, citizens of the rest of the country. And this is the kind of energy that we want to see throughout the country in terms of these offices that we've got to win, both on a state level as well as federal. Because the Secretary of State office in any state in the country, although it's the Secretary of State of that state, that to me is a national adjacent office. And the reason I say that is because of what the Secretary of State does in a given state when it comes to a lot of things that impact people that may not live in that state. For example, voting, okay? That's one of the areas that a Secretary of State has a certain amount of purview and involvement in their hands in the cookie jar. So we want that person in any state, whether that state be, quote, red or blue on a federal level, to be someone that's going to be fair is not the right word, but certainly gonna run the till a little bit differently for all the citizens of the state that they're the Secretary of State for. So that's to me, Kurt, that's a kind of a national adjacent office. The AG, the Secretary of State, and the governor and lieutenant governor in any given state, they have a tremendous amount of sway. But that's not the word I'm looking for. Not sway, but they have a tremendous amount of out-of-state influence because of the fact that those four offices have such huge responsibility that can affect the contiguous states in some ways, in terms of just like roadways and just so many different things. Environmental issues. I mean, if you got a neighboring state that their environmental management's jacked up, your state could be impacted by that. So that's why, someone like Blythe, who has an understanding of what's important for the folks there at home, from what I've read, she understands the importance of people in other states as well. So let's get her on when she can make it, and I'll let you put that together as you do, and I'd love to invite her on as soon as we can, make something happen. So just know that that's out there. You're listening to Choose Views.
I appreciate that, and I absolutely will.
You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We're talking to our good friend Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63 and work that he's doing right now on a local office, Secretary of State in the state of Indiana, a candidate, Blythe Potter. So let's throw some fireballs at something that I know that, let's talk about two things. These are two things I want to talk about before we wrap up today. The first one is the fireballs. And the fireballs are at these young Republicans. Did you see, have you seen, I'm sure you probably have, and if not, I'll just tell you, about the text chain that got leaked of these young Republicans? Yeah. You did?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Isn't that it shouldn't be surprising. And to me it's not.
It's not.
However, they're all over, and people don't want to believe this. You've said this on many occasions, that type of mindset is not just in, the reddest of red areas in the country. It's all over. And clearly, based on where these guys are, they're in different parts of the country. So talk a little bit about your observations of what you've seen and heard in the last 12 to 24 hours in this space.
Well, I mean, this is something you and I have talked about, and hate breeds hate, and these kids are products of hate that they've come from. It's just that they have when you and I were younger, our hate was either face to face or on a telephone. Okay.
Yep.
Or a letter or whatever. But today's world, it's not. You can put it on anything, and these chat chains, and there are so many different apps out there that people can get into that it's mind-boggling how many there are. So they get into their little group, and this is what they talk about, and this is being manipulated by propaganda and hate spiel. And, this is, and I'm going to go down a path, too, that people might not like. But it's just like the farmer right now in America that's struggling. And I just made a reel about this. The problem with these farmers is that they didn't learn the first time. But this is because they spend Sunday in a church in rural Indiana, listening to a dude that claims that he's a man of God with his fire and brimstone speech, talking about how the immigrants are invading and destroying our country, and how their kids are being indoctrinated by drag queens reading them stories, and that their daughters are in danger because of the men in their bathrooms and their sports, when it's the dude up there that claims to be a man of God is the one they need to fear the most, because he's the one that does the most damage to their children, and they're too stupid to understand this and see this. And the same thing is with the farmer and these kids. This is the world that they live in. I mean, when you talk to when some of these people finally reveal who they are, and you talk, and they will talk when they don't think anyone's listening or hearing, the words that come out of their mouth are. It's unbelievable. I mean, the hate.
It's very, but you know, Kurt, it's unsettling, and it's but it is very believable given what you just laid out. I mean, that's the part that is very believable, or maybe no one should be astonished by it anymore, because we have been so many of us, and we're all over the spectrum of being progressive liberal Democrats. We're all over the spectrum there. But the one thing that I believe is probably true, or a connective thread for all of us, is that we haven't been trying to tell people that this was out there and that it was coming. It's kind of the thing that you've heard me say this hundreds of times, probably both here on my show and when I'm on the family meeting with Eric and Michelle. And that is, we've been saying for the longest time that the monsters are in the closet. People said, no, Chew, monsters don't exist. And we were like, they're under the bed. No, they don't exist. Now they're under the covers with this. And people still want us to deny that it's reality. What point am I making? It's to tie into what you just said. When you've got these people who have been hoodwinked, they aren't going to see that the monsters are under the sheets with us, because they've been bamboozled, they've been hoodwinked, and they've also been led down this path. I think in many ways, Kurt, because they want to be down that path. They're okay with this, because a lot of people are going to defend what these young Republicans are saying, and they'll probably start with, and I've kind of seen some of the conversation already. Oh, they're just kids. They're just spouting off. No, these are not boys. These are not acting like boys, but they're not 15-year-olds. These are kids. These are young men that are in their 20s and older. They're followers of Charlie Kirk. They're that part. They are in that crowd. So, exactly. We've been saying
Nick Fuentes and Charlie Kirk are people like Nick Fuentes and Charlie Kirk and Benny Johnson and there's a list of them.
Matt
that
Walsh.
is where this hate comes from. Matt Walsh. This is where the Gibbons, that preacher did. This is where this hate comes from, and this is living proof. This is proof right in front of our eyes what hate Charlie Kirk spread in this country, because he was adored by these people. Yeah. He was adored by these young men. They worshipped him, and this is where it's been. This is where it comes from. But yet we on the left are the radical lunatic, extremists. I mean, it's just mind-boggling. And then I don't know. Did you see Erica Kirk's little spiel yesterday?
I hadn't seen it yet. No, I hadn't.
Oh, you need to look that one up.
Okay,
I will. You need to look that one up.
All right.
She's talking about him and Trump, standing there behind her, and this is supposed to be a tribute to him or whatever. And I don't know how to explain it, Richard. She's laughing and giggling. I mean, everyone experiences death and handles it in a different way.
Right.
Okay. And I don't like talking personal about my stuff, but, I lost my wife when I was 31 when she died of cancer.
Right.
Okay. There is no way. I couldn't talk about her for, I don't know, a year or two without a tear coming to my eye.
Yeah.
And this woman is out there I mean, that event they had in Arizona, she was up there acting like she was crying. I watched that thing. I downloaded it and I watched it. There are maybe 2 instances where you can see a little bit of liquid in her eye. I mean, this was just a couple weeks after her husband just got annihilated, or supposedly did. Now, there's more coming from that, and this is something else we'll talk about later. But, there are so many questions around that. But the way she acts is just appalling. I can't.
And so many people.
She's either got to be the.
And this young Republican thing, which is just. We give light to it only because it's part of what we've been telling people for such a long time exists. And I mirror that up against Charlie Kirk because these are the people that have been following him the most. And these are the people that that people say don't exist. They're not out there. No, these are just boys. They're just spouting off. No, these are young. I've got to be careful with my language as well. These are young men that are clearly, if people look at the text that they have put out there and part of this text chain that got, leaked, they're not saying that to be, we're just joking around. That's coming from a place. And this is the other part too, Kurt, that this is what you and I have talked about before. And you made a point of this earlier talking about folks going to church and their behavior behind that and who they've been following. Where do these young boys, young guys, young men learn this language from? I'm sorry, but they did not learn this from the hip hop, gangster rap, genre. They didn't learn that from.
Right.
So you can't blame black folks. Folks can't blame black folks for using the N-word in music and blah blah blah, which is the default when someone gets caught using the N-word. And other forms of denigration. Where did they learn it from? Well, they learned it from the environment that they're around the most, which is probably their parents, their aunts and uncles. And to your point earlier, which is where I wanted to connect this back to, what they're connecting with on social media. And so that's a problem that I hope people don't bury their heads in the sand on, because here it is, it got exposed, and it's right in front of our faces. So wake the heck up, folks. This is not an accident. Speaking of waking up, Kurt, being active, No Kings rally. I know you're going to be doing your thing. I'm going to be doing mine as well. And maybe we can text and email each other or send pictures back and forth to where we are and what we're seeing. When we're out and about this weekend. But I know you've been a huge advocate.
I'm going to a new town this weekend. I'm going to a different place. I hadn't gone before. I'm going to Marion, Indiana, which is just a short drive from here. But going over there and going to join those people. And that's just something I do. Some people go to the same spot every time. I like to go to different places each time just to get a different feel and to connect with different people. I think the more people we can talk to and different communities, the better off we're going to be. So I'm looking forward to it. Marion is I don't know if you know much about it, but it's a little bit of a different town, and there's a lot of racial tension in Marion, Indiana, Always has been.
I was going to say always has been.
Yeah, I referred to it a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about it. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to meet the people, be part of this. So, and I just can't wait to see the turnout for the day. And one thing people need to realize, and I sent you the link, nokings.org, and I know you've talked about it, but if people want to know how to get involved, go to nokings.org. And you'll find out where they're happening, what you can do, how you can help out, and all of those good things. But we've got their attention. They're noticing it. They're talking about this.
Yeah.
People,
because they said that. Who was it that said? That said that the No Kings rally was un-American. Somebody in the administration said it so clearly. You're right. You're right on point. That they know that these are happening. They know that we're out there. And that is why I said earlier in the show that the rallies, that the protesting is critically important.
Well, Stephen Miller got out there and spat with his mouth about us and said we were a bunch of thugs and, criminals and lunatics and, we're just here to destroy and destruct. And, that's not what we're doing.
That's what we're doing.
It's quite apparent. I know we're running out of time, but it's quite apparent if you pay attention. The violence is coming from the government. The violence is not coming from the people.
That's true. Kurt Mullett, y'all.
It's on display.
It's on display. It ain't coming from us. Thanks for being with us, man, as always.
Thanks for having me.
Be safe this weekend. I know you and I'll communicate while we're out and about.
Too.
But we'll talk next week, but be safe this weekend, okay? And talk to Blythe about coming on. You set that up, and we'll make it happen.
I absolutely will.
All right, man.
Absolutely will.
Be safe, brother. Good to talk to you.
You too. Have a great day.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, let's take a quick break. Henry, 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
Check up on health with Chris Whitting.
Dr. Robert Provine, author of Laughter, A Scientific Investigation, finds laughter is an instinctive and unconscious vocalization through all cultures and times in human history.
We found that most laughter does not follow jokes. Most laughter follows mundane comments like, "Hey, here's John." "Where you been?" Things like that. All that laughter at parties is not due to a furious rate of joke telling. So laughter is this unconscious sound that we make in the presence of other people, sort of cements relationships. In fact, we laugh most in the company of friends, family, lovers, people that we care about. So laughter is not primarily about jokes.
Laughter, A Scientific Investigation points out that humor is universal in all cultures. With Checkup on Health, I'm Chris Whitting.
From office supplies to IT essentials, Amazon Business provides tools that help you save costs and to make insight-based decisions. Learn how to bring your visions to life at amazonbusiness.com.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. The U.S. government shutdown is entering its 15th day. At a news conference, Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen calls it illegal for the White House Budget Office to use the shutdown to perform mass layoffs of federal workers.
Firing and threatening to fire federal employees is part of the Trump administration's campaign to inflict trauma on our federal workforce. Trauma is not my word. It is the word used by OMB Director Russ Vought about what he wanted to do.
Meanwhile, House Speaker Mike Johnson says Democrats are the reason the shutdown is continuing.
If the Democrats want to go to court and challenge troops being paid, bring it, okay? I'm grateful for a commander-in-chief who understands the priorities of the country, the necessity of national defense, and the urgency that we all feel and have voted for 8 times. Republicans have voted in Congress 8 times now between House and Senate to fund the troops and pay federal workers in all these essential jobs and agencies, because we understand the necessity of that.
President Trump posthumously awarded America's highest civilian honor to Charlie Kirk, saying the assassinated conservative activist joined a long line of greats.
From Socrates to think, and to St. Peter, from Abraham Lincoln to Martin Luther King, those who change history the most, and he really did, have always risked their lives for causes they were put on earth to defend. He was put on earth to do exactly what he was doing.
The Israeli military says one of the bodies handed over by Hamas does not belong to an Israeli hostage held in Gaza, adding to tensions over the fragile truce in the 2-year war. Israel has been awaiting the return of 28 deceased hostages. Madagascar's military coup leader told the Associated Press that he is, quote, taking the position of president. Colonel Michael Randranarina led a rebellion by soldiers that ousted President Arndt Ratswelna. This is AP News. Dallin H. Oaks has been named the new president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The former Utah Supreme Court justice will lead the church's more than 17 million members worldwide, and Mississippi is set to execute an inmate who has been on death row for decades. AP correspondent Mike Hempen reports.
A Mississippi man convicted of raping and killing a community college student is scheduled to be executed this evening. 59-year-old Charles Ray has been on death row for more than 30 years. He was convicted of abducting and killing Christy Ray in 1993. He told authorities he blacked out and did not remember killing Ray. Crawford also was found guilty of raping a 17-year-old girl and hitting her friend with a hammer in 1991. He has tried unsuccessfully several times to have his death sentence overturned. I'm Mike Hempen.
And I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Few spotty rain showers early today, otherwise cloudy skies with temperatures holding steady. Winds out of the northeast around 5 to 15 miles per hour. Then for tonight, partly cloudy skies develop a low near 54. By Thursday, sunshine, high of 70 degrees. Friday, slight chance for rain, cloudy, high of 72. Saturday, chance for rain, high of 72. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 57.
Remember when they used to ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? At Bank of America, we ask every day, what would you like the power to do? When you work here, you help build businesses, inspire communities, and forge legacies. And now we've raised our U.S. minimum wage to $25 an hour. So the opportunity to do more also comes with competitive pay. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/25. Bank of America. Proud to be an equal opportunity employer.
Chicago's progressive talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chew.
Yes, welcome back, guys. Progressives, liberals, Democrats, and everybody who's trying to find their way in this craziness. Welcome back to the show. Thanks for being with us. Tom Hartman and I will be co-hosting the labor panel today, 3 to 5 p.m. up at Max and Benny's, not in Broadview, but Max and Benny's in Northbrook, as we had to make a little adjustment there given what's happening with the ICE detention center there. You can take a look at the, if you can't make it at this point now, you can definitely check it out by tuning into WCPT between 3 and 5. Joan will be on from 2 to 3, and then Tom and I will be on from 3 to 5. So looking forward to hanging out with him today. We have a lot of experts that we are blessed to have on our show, and they range from a local organization that's creating and doing work for children in terms of, just making sure the kids are okay, to social organizations, to research groups, and all the rest. And every now and again, we'll have someone that can speak to things that are happening on an international basis. And this morning, as I mentioned earlier, we have with us someone who is a seasoned journalist, policy analyst, and someone that definitely has more than a take on what's happening in Ukraine and more than an understanding about where we should be headed. With us this morning is analyst with Washington Monthly and president of Opportunity America, Tamar Jacoby. Good morning, Tamar, and welcome to Choose Views.
Hello, Richard. So nice to be here again.
Yeah, how you been? You been okay? You been doing all right?
I'm good, thank you. I mean, as good as one can be in this crazy world, right?
I heard that. Big hug to you for the work that you do and putting yourself literally on the front line in this conversation around what's happening in Ukraine. So I'm so glad you could be with us today. But big hug of safety to you.
Thank you.
First and foremost. So, listen, there's so much to talk about with Ukraine. I was thinking about this yesterday, and it's like, it's just so much I want to talk to Tamar about. But I kind of want to get, as you obviously know, let's do two things. Let's talk about your most recent article with Washington Monthly. Let's talk about that, and then kind of link that to what's going on now with Trump's kind of reversal, if you want to call it that. And I've got another question I want to ask you about the Middle East, but let's talk a little bit about your most recent article, and let's talk a little bit about this reversal. Go ahead.
So I don't know. I probably won't get the time frame exactly right, but about a month ago, there was a spate of Russian incoming missiles and drones over Western Europe. So there were drones shot down over Poland. The other drones appeared over Romania. MiG 31 fighter jets flew over Estonia and had to be escorted out. And then there were a bunch of other drones in other countries that nobody could exactly pin on the Russians, but think are Russian: Denmark, Norway, Belgium, other countries.
Right.
And so, that's the war in Ukraine suddenly spilling out into Western Europe. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot of us have feared all along that Russia wasn't just happy with gobbling up Ukraine and that it would eventually come to Europe, but now it seems to be happening. And so I happened to be in Estonia, which was one of the country that had the fighter jets fly over a few days after, and I had a chance to talk to people. And I mean, what people think, for what it's worth, is not that this is actually full-on Russian attack in Western Europe. That what it really is for now, anyway, is Russia trying to signal to Western European publics, you should take care of yourself and stop helping Ukraine. And in fact, Europe has, quite gamely said, no way. We see Ukraine as part of our defense, and we're going to continue to help them. But the point is, it's a big escalation, and Americans have been kind of preoccupied with other things, understandably, from the shutdown to ICE to you name it. But this is a big, big thing, Russia attacking Western Europe. I mean, just about most of my adult life, we've been, worrying about Russia attacking Western Europe.
I know. Remember we were in grade school and high school, and certainly when we got, through high school, that was like our big conversation point. It's like, okay, where are we when it comes to Russia? But sorry, Tamar, I didn't mean to do that to you.
No, exactly. So here they are. And it's a different kind of war, right? So it's not... they're not actually, tanks aren't rolling over the border, and they're not actually shooting bombs, but they're trying to divide society by scaring people.
Yep.
So, they're trying to get the people in Germany, say, who already are skeptical of helping Ukraine, to say to the government, no, we're scared, stop. They're trying to stir up political chaos and divide society and divide Europe from America. And the Europeans are pretty strong that they're not going to let that happen, but we're sort of at the beginning of the test, right?
Yep.
I mean, it's been this incoming aerial stuff is new, but for several years now there've been, big shopping center in the middle of Warsaw was put on fire a couple of years ago, and the Russians have tried to assassinate the CEOs of companies, and it's nasty stuff. It's not tanks, but it's still nasty stuff, and so far Europe is saying, go away. But publics are it will have its effect, and so it's a challenge. And what was nice to see, last word about this, I guess, what was nice to see in Estonia was that the NATO did actually hold, and so Italian planes, Italy, really pretty far away from Russia, and a country ruled by populists, that a lot of people have wondered, well, will the populists really be there when Russia starts to get tough? They came to Estonia's defense, and they scrambled their own jets, and they sent the Russians packing. So so far, I mean, sum up, it's a big alarming development. Russia's starting to do more aggressive, overt, explicit attacks on Europe. So far, the only way Europe will be able to fight them off is if they do it together and with some American help. And so far, so good. It's the beginning of a long chapter.
I wondered this question oftentimes, and how do you feel? How do you feel? This is the question that disturbs me. When we have this kind of conflict going on, and not even conflict, but war going on like this, that people don't pay attention to the warnings. So what I mean by that is this, Tamar. You just said a moment ago, we've been talking about this for a long time, that the Russian invasion could happen. Well, it's happened now. And we warned many of us that, me as a layperson in this space and you as an expert or a career minded person in this space have been saying that this could happen and that we've got to be ready for it. And when it does happen, we don't want to get caught off guard. And so I wonder, now that we're here, are we going to see a collective, or do you think we're going to see a more of that pulling apart? And because that's kind of my big concern. Are people really paying attention?
Yeah, I think it's different in America than Europe, right? It's different even in different parts of Europe, but Europe as a whole seems pretty shocked by this, and they're trying to pull together. It's hard for them, right? Because NATO's 31 countries, and the EU's 27 countries, and they have to agree on stuff, and it's very hard. But the big question is, where will Americans be? And it's in the past, it's always taken America quite a while to figure out that what was going on in Europe mattered to us. I mean, in World War II, Franklin Roosevelt tried to persuade people for years, and it wasn't until finally the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor that Americans said, oh, whoa, this affects us too. And so, I do think Americans are very preoccupied with other things, quite understandably so. And Europe seems far away, and there's a big ocean in the way. But, I think I hope, we're gradually going to wake up to, if there's chaos and bullies and war in Europe, it's bad for us. And it's certainly bad for us if Putin and his allies in China and North Korea and Iran get together and make war on the West. I mean, it seems very far away for most Americans, but my hope is certainly that with time we'll wake up and do what we need to do. And Trump, Trump is Trump. So Trump kind of wakes up one day and then he goes back to sleep and he wakes up the wrong way. And, we don't even want to go into it, right? But trying to be polite here. But, 6 months ago, he didn't think that, he thought Ukraine was the problem. He does seem to be kind of coming around on that. So that's a good step.
I don't trust his ability to stay on point with it any more than you do. And you and I both are kind as best we can be with this, but he is a raving idiot when it comes to this. He has no. One of the things that I learned a long time ago, and I try my best to be this way, is consistent. And we're always going to have our variances in what we do and how we live our lives. It's just part of being a human being. We're not always going to be straight line, but we do want to be consistent. And he is the least consistent leader that I've ever seen, period. Not even leader, elected official is about the best I can give him.
One of the human beings, one of the least consistent human beings.
Thank you. Okay, you see, you went there. You dragged me right down that path with you. But you're right. And so this sudden change or shift is, who spoke to him last? Kind of, who said something to last to him? Like, you need to say this and sound good for a little bit to distract from what's happening in the Middle East and Gaza and Palestine and Israel. I don't have any confidence whatsoever, and I would gotta believe you know more than many of us that many of the leaders right there in those contiguous countries probably don't either. Starting with President Volodymyr Zelensky. That there's going to be a shift in American policy when it comes to Russia and Ukraine.
Yeah, I mean, the most dangerous thing is that he doesn't understand Putin at all. Putin has been saying and doing, he's been saying explicitly for many years and doing for many decades what motivates him, what shows who he really is, and that's he wants to take back parts of Europe that are now free and in the West and independent sovereign countries, and he wants them back in his not very nice embrace. And he wants to have corrupt, weak governments there and people be, he's not going to make it better in those countries. He just wants them to be a buffer zone for him. Mm-hmm. And he's been very clear about that and very consistent, literally, since he came to office. And Trump doesn't seem to get that at all. And so not only is Trump kind of flailing, hot one day, cold the next, up one day, down the next, but he doesn't have any sense of who he's dealing with. And and he's sort of ticked at the moment at Putin, and that's good, I guess. But tomorrow he'll be in a different mood, so it is problematic. There's no question. But he's problematic in a lot of ways.
Without a doubt. And to that end, I mean, look, and just as an aside for a moment, you're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and we're talking with the Director of Progressive Policy Institute. We're talking with Tamar Jacoby, who is one of the leading voices, not just in America, but throughout the world when it comes to what's happening in Ukraine and so many other global issues. So let me ask you this question about Ukraine defending itself and access to defense contractors. Poland, Taiwan, if I'm correct, they have access to be able to buy directly from U.S. defense contractors. Why does Ukraine not have that ability? And do you think it's something that can happen?
Yeah, well, so they have. I mean, first of all, they don't have any money, right? So it would be European money. It was not a very rich country to begin with, and they've been fighting this brutal war, and they don't have a lot of cash on hand. They can hardly pay their teachers' salaries. So it's a country without much money. But Europe is willing to back it. But it doesn't. The defense contracts take a long time. Poland's been buying American weapons for more than a decade. Has these expensive contracts. They take a long time to negotiate. They take a long time to kick in. And U.S. has to be disposed toward it. It has to be political. We don't sell things to countries we don't like.
Right.
So the good news is that now Europeans are buying. Basically, Ukraine is buying weapons, but with European money. You can call that whatever you want. But there just isn't enough yet. I saw a story today that it's like something like a 40% decline over the flow of a year ago, because even though this new system, it's called Pearl, has kicked in, it's just not robust enough yet. And America controls what kind of stuff they can have. So they say you can have this, but you can't have that, and you can have this. It's you can have a slingshot, but not a rifle. I mean, they're not giving them slingshots, but we're not giving them the most powerful stuff we have because we've been afraid of escalation. That Russia would take it the wrong way.
Right.
And I mean, I just think that's, if you say that if you walk on eggshells around the bully, he just gets to be more of a bully.
Yeah.
And I think, we just have to kind of, I mean, I'm not suggesting that we send nuclear weapons, but I think we have to get much tougher and not have this fear of escalation. And we have to realize, I mean, the other big myth is that there's going to be a peace deal with Putin. Putin's not going to make a peace deal until he is so weak and so out of options that, he's basically really at the end of his road. And he's not even close to that yet. And so the idea that we're going to have a peace deal in 2 weeks, or the idea that we could really split the difference, those are really wrong ideas,
Right.
Putin has to lose.
Yeah. And it has to be a loss that for lack of better words, he can't come back from. I don't mean him dying necessarily. I'm just talking about in terms of the country has to retreat and say, we're done. And so this is a little bit of a pivot, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I do want to get your observations on this, for lack of better words, Middle East, Hamas, Palestine, Israel. I'm not even going to call it a deal, but give us and our listeners your observations there, given your analysis of any global issue.
Yeah, so I'm not an expert about that. I just read the newspaper like everybody else. I don't have any secret knowledge. But, I think Trump did bring a coalition together that was impressive. He got a lot of Arab countries that could muscle Hamas, and that was important. And he muscled Israel. Do I think that Hamas or Bibi Netanyahu really want peace or are, sincere about this? No. So the question is, what will happen now? He muscled everybody to the table for one, handshake. Let's see what happens. And I don't, it's long. I think this is. I mean, I'm an American Jew. I support Israel's right to exist strongly. I think Israel overreached in Gaza, and so I'm glad to see that it's that it seems to be stopping. I would like to see some kind of try, even if it's Trump, if it works, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
But I'm not full. I don't have a lot of trust.
Yeah, that's a phrase that I know that you as a writer and a journalist and analyst probably use a lot. I don't have a lot of trust. We want to see the results before you get behind it and support it. So, with the work that you do and being where you are, literally, physically, how do you go about your day? I've been wanting to ask you this for a long time.
It's very normal. The days you Kiev's a nice city. Beautiful, set on hills overlooking a river, and stores are open, bars are open, restaurants are open. I can buy avocados in the supermarket. I mean, it's sort of amazing what a nice life you can lead. At night, the Russian stuff starts to come. Whether it's drones or missiles, and it doesn't happen every night. So you learn a little drill about how you deal with the incoming. And what happens is an alarm sounds, and everybody can hear the alarm. And then you literally look at your phone, where a social media channel is telling you what's coming and where it is. And then you decide, like, how bad is it? How much of a risk is it for me? What do I have to do? And sometimes I just sleep in my bed. Sometimes I take a little mattress into the hallway where there are no windows. And sometimes I go to the basement. And, so knock on wood, so far I've read it right. So it's unnerving, but you sort of learn a drill, and the drill doesn't necessarily protect you, but you kind of think it does. So you do it.
Yeah. No,
it's like going to the doctor. He's not going to stop you from dying, but you feel better if you go.
Which is why you go, so that at least you're aware of what's happening and you're plugged into to what's actually going on. So. And thank you for that. I've been wanting to ask you that for a while, because you are literally there, and you're literally one that, and that's why I said at the beginning of the show, putting a big hug of safety and concern around you all the way from the great city of Chicago.
But I'm not, there's nothing heroic about it. There are 30 million people living like that. So, I'm just there with other people. And, the things I feel bad about are they're like the little kids.
Yeah.
People, you go down to the basement and there are people with their little 3-year-old kids. What do they think is happening? So it's tough. And,
Yeah, seeing that, I mean, obviously, when we talk about supporting someone like you and giving you as much the surrounding of good energy, it's because of not just you taking care of yourself and the things that come with that and what you just talked about in terms of the drill, but it's the things that you have to see and the things that you observe, as you just stated, in terms of seeing children that don't have the same perspective, yet they still have to deal with it. And so it's not just what you...
But almost nobody in Ukraine feels like a victim.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they hate the Russians and they feel angry, but they are fighting for their country, and they're determined to do it. And people take their little kids to the basement and they, say, I'm doing what I need to do to defend my country, or be there for my country, or stay in my country. So it's not, when some of my friends, they call up and they treat me like I'm, I say, don't cry for me, Argentina. I'm okay.
Yeah. So how do
okay.
How do the people, as we kind of wrap up, so the president of Ukraine has done what I would say is a marvelous job. And I'm saying that, observationally, externally. How do the folks that you encounter engage with there, what are their thoughts and feelings about what he's doing, how he's navigating all this?
Yeah, I mean, people in the West think Zelensky can walk on water. Nobody in Ukraine thinks Zelensky can walk on water. They do, are very grateful for the way he stood up courageously and the way he's brought so much Western help and projected what Ukraine means and stands for across the world. But he's also, people are worried about the state of democracy. And they're worried that he's going to want too much power, and that he isn't allowing, that he's cracking down on his opponents in a way they don't like. There were demonstrations this summer. And so, people are, it's very mixed bag, because there's not a lot of obvious alternatives, but people are not 100% thrilled with Zelensky. Let's just put it that way. Good in one realm, some concerns in another realm.
Yeah, I get it.
You're not supposed to say that. I mean, I'm
no,
kidding, but in Ukraine, you're not supposed to say that. But yeah,
it's truth, and that I think that when we talk about it from that perspective, even though it's something that you're not supposed to say, it does, I think, help people understand that there's so much more work to be done. Because when you can identify and say he's not, and as we all would be, we're not perfect in that space.
Right.
And talking about it is the only way you're going to actually find a way to get resolution or get better. So
and people are dying for Ukrainian democracy. They want a real democracy. They don't want to have died and have amputated legs and ruined their lives and not get what they're fighting for. So it's important.
Yeah, without a doubt. Tamar, how can folks find and follow you and be part of your wonderful world of reporting and analyzing what's happening across the globe?
Well, you're very kind. Progressive Policy Institute. It's ppionline.org, and my stuff is posted there. There's a whole page of my, many pages of my stuff.
Absolutely. Tamar Jacoby, analyst with the Washington Monthly and president of Opportunity America, and the director of the New Ukraine Project at the Progressive Policy Institute, PPI. Thank you so much. We're going to take. Well, we're going to. No. Okay. All right. I apologize, Tamar. We've got so many crazy things going on in the studio this morning. But thank you for being with us. And I'm looking forward to having you back again because, and I say this because I know as we get closer to the end of the year, we start to see an uptick in some of the things that happen on an international basis. So I'd love to be able to have you back with us sometime before we get to the end of this year. Does that sound okay?
I'd love that. Thank you so much. Sorry, it was a little hard to schedule this time.
No. That's okay. Listen, you're doing something different. I know you said don't cry for me, Argentina, but you're doing something that many people aren't doing, and we appreciate you taking some time. Please stay safe. I know you will.
Thank you.
And we will reach out to you to get something set up again before the year is out. Does that sound okay?
That sounds great, Richard. Thank you so much.
All right. We'll talk with you soon. Tamar Jacoby, guys, thanks for being with us this morning. We're going to take a little break, Henry. The number is 773-763-9278. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
This is Tony Moray. I'm an estate planning lawyer who drafts living trusts and wills. Since the election, I've been hearing from my clients, many of them fellow WCPT listeners. And we all wonder, how did this happen and what can we do? The how is, of course, very complicated. My thoughts as regard to what we can do is simple but important. We need to take extra care of those we love. Having an estate plan using either a living trust or will can provide comfort in uncertain times like these. When the progressive values we hold dear are under attack, I feel we must make sure that our personal lives are secure and then work out from there. I've been drafting estate plans for my clients for over 30 years, and I will use all of that experience to help you. Please call me at 847-996-0496. My website is moreylawoffice.com. That's Morey spelled M-O-R-E-E. Again, the phone is 847-996-0496. There is no cost or obligation for our initial discussion. I look forward to speaking with you.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Few spotty rain showers early today, otherwise cloudy skies with temperatures holding steady. Winds out of the northeast around 5 to 15 miles per hour. Then for tonight, partly cloudy skies develop, a low near 54. By Thursday, sunshine, high of 70 degrees. Friday, slight chance for rain, cloudy, high of 72. Saturday, chance for rain, high of 72. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 57.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
Welcome back to Chu's Views with Richard Chu.
Great to have Tamar Jacoby with us this morning. She's phenomenal when it comes to talking about a lot of international and domestic issues, but particularly given that she's right there in Kyiv, Ukraine. So we send her all the good energy that we can to stay safe and keep on providing us with the information. We'll have her back again before the year is out. All right, so a couple of goofy things that we'll talk about, and then I want to bring it back home for some local issues. Mike Johnson. I'll tease him in one way, and then I'll warn him in another. I'll tease him about his fecklessness and worry about the naked, bike riders in Portland. I guess Johnson is just he's worried. He feels threatened by Portland's emergency naked bike ride for humanity. This is threatening. I think that there's more to it than that, Mike. This is the same dude that needed an app to monitor his porn addiction is threatened by naked bike riders. So a little bit of sarcasm and tease from me. On the other hand, when it comes to Mike Johnson, the state of Arizona has made it clear that you either swear in Adelita Gravolia, who won that House seat in the special election, or they're going to sue him. The state of Arizona has now made it official. She's been certified by the state and the Arizona Attorney General. So the Arizona Attorney General is done with messing around with Mike Johnson and waiting for him. The Arizona AG is Chris Mays, and sent a demand letter giving him 2 days, and that was sent yesterday to inform her if he is swearing in Ms. Gravolia or he will be sued. Okay, so what do we take from that? First of all, when I said earlier when I was talking with Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63, I said it's important that we have the right, we oftentimes forget about the importance of the secretaries of state, the attorneys general, when it comes to leaders of a state's office. In most cases, we think about the governor and lieutenant governor. So let's just put that in perspective. We all recognize that they're the big cheese of the state. That's just how we roll, whether it be red or blue state. You know who Governor Abbott is in Texas, red state, but you know who he is. As you know who Governor Pritzker is here in Illinois, and the list goes on. But you may not know who the lieutenant governor is of a particular state, or red or blue, or the AG, or the secretary of state. But they matter in a major way. And they matter in ways sometimes that we don't recognize what power it is that they have. So a lot of Democratic attorneys generals have been bound together, working together since Trump was inaugurated. And they have been a quiet, in some cases loud, firewall. And in a case like this, Arizona's AG, Chris Mays, has made it clear to Mike Johnson, I can sue you, dude. Just because you're the Speaker of the House doesn't mean that you are protected from lawsuits when you do something that causes harm or that is not doing the job that you're there to get done. And swearing in elected officials that have been certified by their state is one of the key jobs of the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Little known fact. Get it done. It's a quiet thing oftentimes, not a lot of pomp and circumstance around it, but it's part of the job. And he's literally not doing his job. And the only reason that he's getting away with it or has gotten away with it, there's not the only reason. There's a couple of reasons. So let me clean that up. One of the reasons that he's getting away with it is because the members of his own party aren't forcing him to get the job done. It's putting this is the stupidity part. It's actually putting at risk him being able to stay in Speaker because the Democrats, if there were a couple of Republicans that said, nah, that they could actually do what they did to Kevin, I almost said McConnell, that they did to him. Okay? Now, the other part of this when it comes to him being sued is that if, in fact, Chris Mays goes forward and sues him, then that comes with a lot of strings and a lot of exposure of Mike Johnson. Not that that's a thing that we want. I'm just being sarcastic. But that comes with a lot of strings. Okay, so he's putting the Republicans that are in leadership and the Republicans in the House kind of a little bit of peril. So just go ahead and get out of the way and swear her in and deal with the fallout of what will happen if these Epstein files do get brought to the forefront. Just get out of the way because it's coming. The point of all this is other attorneys generals have a similar power. I don't say the same power. They have a similar power because they have standing when the Speaker of the House doesn't do his or her job. So, word to the wise, AGs in blue states, keep doing this. Keep this kind of heat up. Make it known. And I'm waiting to see how he listens, or if he chooses to listen at all. He may or may not, but we'll see what happens. So I just wanted to bring that to you guys to let you know that that's happening. And by the way, she will be joining, Miss Gravalia will be joining Joan Esposito on Monday, just as an FYI to let you guys know. I just got sent a quick message about that. So you'll want to tune in to have her, to hear what she has to say. We'll see. We'll see where this goes. But Johnson needs to get his act in order on this, or that lawsuit could be a domino. It could have some dominoes attached to it that could affect his speakership. And I don't think a lot of people don't realize that. So we'll see where this goes. Janet Mills is announced her. You guys have probably heard this. Now she announced that she's running for the Senate seat in Maine against. I'm troubled and I'm concerned. Susan Collins. It's about time. That's going to be an interesting race. We need to move that. That's another seat. We go back to what I talked about a little bit yesterday when we were talking with Amy McGrath about her running in Kentucky. We pick off a few of these seats in the Senate. We have to do that. And we have to get behind the people. Listen, I'm not going to split hairs on if another Democrat in Kentucky would be a better candidate than Amy McGrath. I don't really necessarily care. I like Amy. We've been able to do some shows together, and I think she would bring the heat. So, but we need the seat. I prefer it to be her. I know her a little bit better. In Maine, there's a younger guy, Planter. He's 41 or 42. He's running as a Democrat. Or is he running as an independent? Sorry about that, guys. But he's running against Susan Collins. We need that seat. If it's Janet Mills, who people are running around saying, well, she's too old, well, that's an opinion versus a fact. Janet Mills has been a governor in the state, and she's been one of the governors that's pushed back against Trump. So if that's what she brings to the table with her 77-year-old self, then I'm okay with that. What we've got to stop doing, and I saw something that ticked me off, frankly, and that's a couple of women had, and I can't think of the name of their show now. They've done a really good job on social media, but they went after Cory Booker. And what I'm tired of Democratic voices doing is relentlessly going after Democrats who are elected. If they're not doing the job or getting the job done, I understand that. But I'm a little bit tired. I'm a lot tired, to be honest, with some of the voices out there in any venue going after Democrats for not doing more. Yeah, I've said this so many times, and I'll say it again. We want to encourage and push them to do better, but don't do it in a nasty way. They were cursing at him, and that's just unacceptable. It's not necessary. And so why am I tying this to the McGrath Senate race and the Maine situation? It's because I want us to have the numbers. People have got to realize, even those of us who have radio shows, podcasts, are broadcasting, whatever, the Dems don't have the numbers right now. We've got to help them get the numbers. That does not come by trash talking someone because of their age, in the case with Janet Mills, or trash talking someone in the case of Cory Booker because he at one point took some money from AIPAC. Why don't they turn their ire against the Republicans who've taken far more money? Then I'm not trying to excuse him taking money from AIPAC or anything like that. So nobody get their undies in a bundle. But I'm sick and tired of people just deciding to unleash on a Democratic office holder versus unleashing on Republicans who are causing harm, true harm. Cory Booker, I've disagreed with some of the things that he's said and done and all that with all folks. The Governor Pritzker I have and Mayor Johnson. But I'm not going to suddenly unleash on them when we need to unleash on the other side, not our own team. I'm telling you, it's a recipe for disaster to unleash on your team. You have to encourage your team and strengthen your team and build your team and find ways to push them to do better. but going after them in a nasty way, trash talking them, cursing in their presence when you're trying to make a point that doesn't need profanity, or certainly if it's directed at that person, that's not a winning strategy. I'm telling you it's not. And people can disagree with me all day long in that space, but I'm telling you, you don't get people to move forward and embrace doing something differently by just bitching and moaning at them. Excuse my language. But you just don't. And so a lot of the voices that are out there need to stop this madness about she's too old. If she's getting the job done, I mean, let's remember, Janet Mills has experience in statewide elections as elected as governor. And she's one of the governors that threw it back at Trump in his face. Right now, we need that. So be damn her age. Okay? So, and the people that are saying Amy McGrath shouldn't run again, blah, blah. She's brought the heat before in a red state. You go run in a red state and tell me how to get it done. So I needed to let you guys know that wherever we are right now, who's ever running, we need to get behind them and push them and encourage them. And you know, it's kind of like, okay, let's put it in a visual. We've all seen a child. We've all had a nephew, a niece, if you don't have children, or a friend's child on their tricycle, right? Henry, with the training wheels on, they take the training wheels off, and now we've had to be on, you know, arms out, kind of making sure they don't topple over. That's how we need to be. We don't need to coddle. Don't get that wrong, folks. We need to keep bouncing our leaders back to the middle or back to a point where they're being effective. I don't want to say the middle. That sends the wrong message. That's where we need to be. Stop eating our own. I'm so sick and tired of folks doing that. You know, go eat the Republicans. Get in their backside. Let's spend that energy rather than all the Democrats are. Okay, so then help them do better. But whining and yelling at them and being no. Somebody's too old. No, we're not going to do that anymore, y'all. All right, let's see if we can grab a couple of quick calls, Henry, before we hit this break. I'm going to be real quick. Let's go to Gregory here in Chicago. Gregory, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. I went to see former President Lech Walesa in Donald E. Stevens Convention Center in Rosemont. He's in the middle of his world speaking tour, his first and only, now that he's up in age, 81 years of age, and his book signing. And I just wanted to relate to what Ms. Jacoby.
Yeah, Jacoby. Mm-hmm.
Jacoby was saying about the state of the world, and he was saying that we have gone from an age of empires and kingdoms to a 500-year era of nation states, and now it's time. And it's something that a lot of people can see, but he has certain currency, of course, to make the clarion call to move towards the third age of regional management. And he said Western Europe was the best example of how they all came together after centuries of fighting with each other to create the European Union. And America needs to lead, and the world needs to move towards regional organization and management, and ultimately global. I was disappointed that he was saying Russia never had democracy and kind of vilifying them as the bad guys. And I saw that kind of same, for lack of a better word, simplistic, narrative. And so I'm going to get Scott Horton's book, Provoked, and I'd like to get that and maybe share it because from my understanding from attending the European Nuclear Disarmament Conference in March of 1983, when I took a year off from college, when there was millions of people protesting the intermediate range Pershing II missiles that Reagan and NATO based in Germany, that after Reagan and Gorbachev made peace and agreed for the Iron Curtain to come down with the Solidarnosc movement led by Lech Walesa at the forefront, that the agreement and understanding was that if we open up Eastern Europe to invest in free speech and free movement of people, that NATO would not expand 1 inch east of East Germany. And instead of honoring that, they went right up to their jugular vein in Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, And they said, what's this all about? They said, they're small countries. They just want to feel safe. Ukraine is the last straw, because if you have hypersonic nuclear missiles in Ukraine and they're only 308 miles from Moscow, that's 5 minutes. It destabilizes the whole mutually assured destruction dynamic that was established in the 50s and 60s and has held until we moved to this intermediate range thing. So if we start shooting longer range tomahawks, as they've been talking about with Trump and your expert in this, Jacoby, even saying we need to get tough, not nuclear missiles. How does Moscow know if a tomahawk? It's why Joe Biden didn't want to go there. How do we know? How does Moscow know if it's nuclear or not when it's coming towards it? If we were Washington, D.C., and Russian missiles, long-range nuclear-capable type missiles are coming into our country.
But Greg, okay, I get it. And we've talked before, and I respect where you're coming from in this. This is my simple, maybe oversimplistic way of looking at it. I want it to stop. And Ukraine, if there's the data that they didn't do it the way in which the agreement was set forth over 40 years ago, Russia still attacked them. Okay. And so at the end of the day, I want it all to stop. And we could debate this all day with historical perspectives that many know more than others. But at the end of the day, that's what I want to see. And I agree. So Greg, so we're going to stop it there, one, because I got to take a break. But thank you for the call this morning, and thanks for your contribution. I appreciate you reaching out to us. All right, let's take a quick break, Henry. 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago, 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
Hi, my dad founded Chicago Community Acupuncture.
My dad did too.
That's because we're sisters.
Yeah, but it's true.
You know, acupuncture has helped billions of people, but some people are still afraid of it.
Why?
They're afraid it'll hurt, or that it won't do anything to help them.
That's silly. We get acupuncture all the time, and it's like less than a mosquito bite. And everyone knows that acupuncture can help a bunch of different problems.
Not everyone knows that.
Someone should tell them.
I think you just did.
So if you'd like to experience top-quality acupuncture at half the price of other places, come visit us at Chicago Community Acupuncture at Milwaukee, Devine, and Nagel. Call 773-853-0920, 773-853-0920, or our website, ChiCom Acu.
Chicomacu.
ChiComacu.com.
Or ChiComacu.com. Chicomacu.
Either way, we'd love to help you. Start feeling better today.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
You're listening to Choose Views with Richard Chu.
Hey guys, thanks for being with us this morning as we kind of wrap up this show real quickly. Tickets for this afternoon's Labor panel are still available. We've announced a venue change, as you guys know, 3 to 5 p.m. Tom Hartman and I will be co-hosting the Labor panel at Max and Benny's, not in Broadview, as we had previously scheduled. You can register for the event by visiting heartlandsignal.com/WCPT820 and clicking on the Labor panel banner at the top of the page. If you can't make it out to the Labor panel at Max and Benny's, be sure to tune in to WCPT today between 3 and 5. Just to let you guys know, there are still tickets available, so, make your way over there and make your way out if you can, just to let you know. Real quick call. Let's grab one more last call. This is from our good friend Al. Hey, Al, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Good to talk to you, Richard.
Thanks.
I was going to bring up when you were talking with Kurt, and you were talking about why people go to Charlie Kirk. And one of the things that you missed is it's building community and it's giving them a place to go. And I think that's very important to understand. And, because it's not only online, it moves offline. and that's what happens too with our community. We have to work on more is building our community up. Like even at the No Kings rally, you know, one of the important things there is that we are meeting people that are like-minded, that are good people, and
I think I agree with you in that in terms of the community part, Al. The difference is unapologetically our community is better for all people where their community is exclusionary. I'll give you the most basic example I can give you. If someone that's left MAGA that decides to come to an All Kings rally, we're going to embrace that person. If I had showed up at a Charlie Kirk event, it would have been a different reception. I can assure you of that. So the difference between the communities is that, yes, that may be the reason why, and we've heard this from other people that are part of MAGA, that are leaving MAGA and all the rest, is that it was a safe place for them. It was a place for them to express their view. Okay, but if your views are crazy as hell, I don't want to be part of that community. And that's
exactly.
So,
and so my whole point in bringing it up is that we have to understand that, and we have to build our community. And I was thinking about, you know, the No Kings rally, and that's what we have to do. And I was even thinking, you know, hey, you know, you always talk to a lot of people there, and a lot of like-minded people, and make sure you know, that person you talk to that you connected with, exchange your phone numbers with them.
Yep.
You know, we gotta, and because you get home and you say, oh, you know, that was a good person, I'd like to talk to him, and then you have no more connection after that. We gotta, you know,
keep building the community, keep expanding it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Al, thanks as always for keeping us up to speed. Good to hear your voice. Appreciate your contribution.
Okay.
Thanks,
if you're
man.
at the book signing, I'll see you tonight.
Sounds good. All right, Al. Bye now. Okay, guys. So listen, a little bit of a cleanup on Al 7. I just sometimes when we're running at the pace of live radio. Representative Grijalva from Arizona. I've been changing the phonetics on that. Grijalva is the correct pronunciation. So I apologize. But you know how I am about cleanup on aisle 7. Let's get it done quickly, and that way nobody else slips through the ketchup and mayonnaise that were spilled in aisle 7. So there you go. I said earlier in the show there was a couple things I wanted to hit you guys with that are local to Chicago that I think need to be recognized, and we'll try to get to these as we wrap up today. The Whistlemania meetings are happening, or happened last night across Chicago, and you can go to what is Whistlemania? It's a way for people, talk about community, and again, thanks to Al for reminding us of building community and keeping community. It's a way for people that want to get be more involved and be able to have a communications mechanism if and when ICE shows up in your community. If you Google Whistlemania, you'll be able to find out more information of what's happening here in Chicago in terms of assembling kits. Know Your Rights Guide, a whistle, and a community resource guide is one of the things that's happening where neighbors here in different communities are putting together the Austin area, Avondale, Belmont, Cragen, Hermosa, Logan Square, Portage Park. So Google Whistlemania, and you'll be able to find out more information and also see if there's one that's taking place in your community. The other thing I wanted to bring to you guys real quickly regarding ICE in Chicago, Facebook, this is where I go back to what I said earlier in the show about complicit behavior. Facebook removes a Chicago area page dedicated to ICE sightings after what? Pam Blondie and the Orange Menace started to complain. They removed a Facebook page that was designed to provide awareness and safety to citizens in the Chicagoland area. So, you know, we can all miss Facebook for a minute, but this Facebook page was designed to help people know where things were happening and where their agents were quote unquote landing and what neighborhoods they are in, and they decided to disengage that page, which is awful on the part of Facebook. Meta spokesperson said the page violated its policies on coordinating harm. That's a bunch of BS. The page was about awareness and letting people know where the ICE agents were. They bent the knee. Facebook's bent the knee before. You know, Mark Zuckerberg ain't all that. He just isn't in that space. His actions are not all that. Let's put it that way so nobody says, oh, Chu said Mark Zuckerberg. I'm saying Mark Zuckerberg is acting in a way that shows that he's not all that. So there you go. Last but not least, you all may have seen, and I talked about this a little bit on Monday, the WGN employee, Debbie Brockman, who was at a protest last Friday, I believe was the correct date, and she was thrown to the ground, knees in her back, the whole nine that you've seen these punk A ICE agents commit. Well, she decided that she's not just going to walk away and let it be, Henry. She has made it clear that she's hired an attorney, and they are going to, with the witnesses that they have and the video that they have that as part of their discovery and going after immigration officers. They have. She decided that she wants to make it bigger than that, and People's Law Office is in her corner, and I'm happy for her. I'm proud she's doing it because that's what this gets back into what I said earlier in part, and I'll tie this to again what Al just said about community. She's a member of our community. And we want to support the efforts of those who are out and protesting that are physically out there, like Debbie was. But when they cross the line in the way in which they go about restraining people or holding people back from getting too close to them and all that sort of thing, this is the other side of that. And this is what we have to be prepared to do. And when our guest, why am I drawing a blank on our Monday guest, Henry? Grab my sheet real quick so I can say this before we wrap up. Miss... oh, Lordy. No, before. Yes, when Miss Marshall talked about protesting and bond fund, well, Miss Brockman is taking this to the next level. So I'm glad she's decided to hire an attorney and that she's decided that she's going to go after those folks specifically and at large because it's time. And more of us should be willing to look at that as an option as part of our defense and keeping our community safe. So just a couple things that are happening here in Chicago that I wanted to bring you guys up to speed on because all of these things that are happening in Chicago, guess what? They're part of our national conversation right now, whether it be Whistlemania, whether it be Facebook, and whether it be employees of a news channel being harassed and thrown to the ground. Anywhere in the country, this could be coming into your neighborhood or your community. So I want to make everybody as aware as I possibly can. Stay strong, guys. You know how we put it here. Take a deep breath and make your life count because we'll see you tomorrow.
This is WCPT telling you how you can shop blue. Did you know there are only 49 states in America that require you to have car insurance? At Chicago's Progressive Talk, we're in Illinois, and Illinois is one of the 49 states that require you to have car insurance. Let's look at some car insurance companies that support the Democratic Party. American Family Insurance. American Family Insurance was once very conservative, but since 2019, they have moved to the left, donating $214,000 to Democrats. In 2024, AAA was also once very conservative, but in 2014, they shifted to the left, donating $235,000 to Democrats in 2024. 83% of their donations went to Democrats. Liberty Mutual. Now, Liberty Mutual leans to the left, and yes, they did donate $1.6 million to Democrats in 2024. That was only 64% of their donations. Progressive Insurance. Progressive does not give to politics, but some of their senior leaders do, and their senior leaders lean left. This has been WC.